Good morning, students. Today's topic is rights for gender equality and the implication for social change. These topics show gender equality. Introduction is gender equality, also known as sexual equality or equality of the sexes, is the state of equal ease to access to resources and opportunities regardless of gender, including economic participation and decision making, and the state of valuing different behaviors, aspirations, and needs equally, regardless of gender. In this the equality is gender equality is the goal, while gender neutrality and gender equity are practices and ways of thinking that help in achieving the goal. Gender party, which is used to measure gender balance in a given situation, can aid in achieving gender equality, but is not the goal in and to itself. Gender equality is more than equal respiration, representation. It is strongly tied to women's rights, and often it requires policy changes. As of 2017, the global movement for gender equality has not incorporated the proportion of genders besides women and men, or gender in identities outside of the gender binary. binary. And UNICEF says gender equality means that women and men and girls and boys enjoy the same rights, resources, opportunities, and protection. It does not require that girls and boys or women and men be the same, or that they be treated strictly alike. And the next is on a global scale, achieving gender equality also requires alignmenting harmful practices against women and girls, including sex trafficking, fast feticide, warm time sexual violence, gender wage gap, and other operations tactics. UNFPA started that despite many international agreements affirming their human rights, women are still much more likely than men to be poor and illiterate. And they have less access the to property, ownership, credit, training, and employment. This partially stems from the archaic stereotype of women being labeled as child bearers and homemakers rather than the beard winners of the family. They are far less likely than men to be politically active and far more likely to be victims of democratic violence. And this is the history of Christian de Pizan, an earlier advocate for gender equality, state in her 1405 books, the Book of the City of Ladies, that the operations of women is founded or irrational prejudice, pointing out numerous advances in society, probably created by women. And the Shakers, an evangelical group which practiced surgeon segregation of the sexes and strict calibracy, were early practitioners of gender equality. They branched off from a Quaker community in the northwest of England before emigrating to America in 1774. In America, the head of the Shakers Central Ministry in 1788, Joseph Mcqs, had a revelation that the sexes should be equal, and he then brought Lucky right into the ministry as his female counterpart, and together they restructured the society to balance the right of the sexes. Mechanisms, the right established leadership teams where each elder who dealt with the men's spiritual welfare was patterned with and elders who did the same for women, and each deacon was patterned with the deacons. Men had oversight of men, women had oversight of women. Women lived with women, men lived with men in Shaker society. A woman did not have to be controlled or owned by any man. After Mccomb's death in 1796, Wright became the head of the Shaker ministry until her death in 1821. And the Shakers maintained the same pattern of the gender balanced leadership for more than 200 years. They also promoted equality by working together with other women's rights advocates. In 1859, Shaker elder Frederick Evans started their beliefs forcefully, writing that Shakers were the first to disentangle women from the condition of wassailing age to which all other religious systems more or less consigned her. And the and to secure to her those just and equal rights with men, that by her similarity to him in organization and faculties, both God and nature would seem to deem events and his counterpart, elders Antonity Little, joined women's rights advocates on speakers platforms throughout the northernest US in the 1870s. A visitor to the Shakers wrote in 1875. And this is the gender biases. There has been criticism from some feminists towards the political discourse and policies employed in order to achieve the above items of progress in gender equality, with critics arguing that these gender equality strategies are superficial in that they do not seek to challenge social structures of male domination and only aim to improve the situation of women within the societal framework of subordination of women to men, and that official public policies are questionable. As they are applied in a partitional context and are directly or indirectly controlled by agents of a system, which is for the most part male. One of the criticisms of the gender equality policies and the a further criticism is that uh, focus on the situation of women in on non-Western countries, while often ignoring the issues that exist in the West, is a form of imperialism and of reinforcing Western moral superiority and a way of othering of domestic violence by presenting it as something specific to outsiders. The violent others, and not to the elegantly progressive Western cultures. These critics point out that women in Western countries often face similar problems, such as domestic violence and rape, as in other parts of the world. They also cite the fact that women faced the Zuri legal discrimination until just a few decades ago. For instance, in some Western countries, such as Switzerland, Greece, Spain, and France, women obtained equal right in family law. In the controversy controversy regarding Western cultural influence in the world in is out new, and in the late 1940, when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was being drafted, And the American Anthropological Association warned that the documented would be defining u- universal rights from a Western pra- perspective, which could be detrimental to non Western countries. And these controversy and further argued that the West's history of colonialism and forceful interference with other societies made them a problematic moral representative for universal global standard. And there has been criticism that international law, international codes, and universal gender natural concepts of human rights are at best silent on many of the issues important to women and at worst male centered, considering the male person to be the default. Excessive gender neutrality can worsen the situation of women. And because the law assumes women are in the same position as men, ignoring the biological fact that in the process of reproduction and pre pregnancy there is no equality, and that apart from physical differences, there are socially constructed limitations which assign a socially and culturally inferior position to women, a situation which requires a specific approach to women's rights, not merely a gender natural one. And the next is the efforts to fight inequality. In 2010, the European Union opened the European Institute of Gender Equality in Vilnius, Lithuania, to promote gender equality and to fight sex discrimination. In 2015, the EU published the Gender Action Plan 2016 to 2020. The gender equality is part of the national curriculum in Great Britain and many other European countries by presidential decree. The Republic of Kazakhstan created a strategy of gender equality 2006 to 2016 to chart the subsequent decade of gender equality effort. Personal, social, and health education, religious studies, and language acquisition curriculum tend to address gender equality issues as a very serious topic for discussion and analysis of its effect in society. And the next is the large and growing body of research has shown how gender inequality undermines health and development. To overcome gender inequality, the United Nations Population Fund states that women's empowerment and gender equality requires strategic interventions at all levels of programming and policy making. These levels include reproductive health, economic empowerment, educational empowerment, and political empowerment. This is the UNFPA says that research has also demonstrated how working with man and boy as well as women and girls to promote gender equality contributes to achieving health and development outcomes. And the next is the health and safety. Some constructs of gender, that is, a cultural ideals of socially acceptable masculinity and femininity, often have a negative effect on health. The World Health Organization cities the example of the woman not being allowed to travel alone outside the home, go to the hospital, and women being prevented by cultural norms to ask their husbands to use a con- con- condom in cultures which is simultaneously encourage male promiscuity as social norms that harm women's health. Teenage boys suffering accidents during to social expectations of impressing impressing the our effect of the health and their peers through risk taking, and men dying at much higher rate from lung cancer due to smoking. And the next is the World Health Organization has also started that there is a strong connection between gender socialization and transmission and lack of educate management of HIV/AIDS. Map of countries by fertility rate 2020 according to the Population Reference Bureau. Certain culture practices such as female genital mutilation FGM negatively affect women's health. And the this World Health Organization female gen, genital mutilation is the ritual cutting or removal of some or all of the external female genitalia. It is rooted in inequality between the sexes and constitutes a form of discrimination against women. The practices found in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, and among immigrant communities from countries in which FGM is common. UNICEF estimated in 2016 and 200 million women have undergone the procedure. And the next is this picture gender inequality. The in India infographics, labor force participation, and the approximate approx difference in life expectancy between a Dale and an upper caste woman. 30% ulti utilization of the funds from the Nirbhay Fund to prevent violence against women. Some example of the gender inequality: unpaid care work, labor force pre- participation, and the party percentage of wealth that Indian women account for. In Africa and India, women account for somewhere between 20 to 30% of wealth. These are the gender inequality. And the next is the social and ideological political gender equality. Two recent movements in countries with large Kurdish populations have implemented political gender inequality. One has been the Kurdish movement in southern Turkey, led by the Democratic Reasons Party, and the People's Democratic Party from 2006 or before. The mayorships of two metropolitan areas and 97 towns are led jointly by a man and a woman, both called co-mayors. And the party officers are also led by a man and a woman. Local councils were formed, which also had to be co-presided over by a man and a woman together. However, in November 2016, the Turkish government cracked down on the HDP, jailing 10 of its members of parliament, including the party's male and female co-leaders. And this type of gender equality index. Stakeholders, including employees, investors, the regulators, care more than ever about how companies treat their employees and whether their products and services are helping to save the needs and society. The Bloomberg Gender Equality Index tracks the performance of public companies committed to disclosing their efforts to support gender equality through policy development, representation, and transparency. And the next is the benefits of companies. Showcase your company's commitment to gender equality and transparency. Improve your company reporting by aligning with an international expectation. Disclose under standard benchmark policies and performance against peers with the comprehensive score GEI scorecard. Learn about becoming a GEI member, company benefits for investors, and identify public companies that are committed to transparent reporting and addressing. And this addressing benefits of companies are the gender inequality, gain visibility into public companies, gender related social data, inform your strategies through a social lens. And the next is the picture of this equality in criminal social change, sign of transformation, show slow change in social structure, slow changes in normative structure, threat to cultural identity, and slow even stability status and interior status. No break with the past, no social structure recapture, no normative structure recapture, no threat to cultural identity, no break with the past, no social structure recapture, no normative structure recapture. Cultural identity in constant state of threat. Past event, democratic social change, break and with the past. And the break and the past social structure recapture, normative structure recapture, threat to cultural identity, copying the adaptation mechanism, no copying and adaptation mechanism, stability, society, and individual intelli- intent, a state of equilibrium. In Tertiary society and individuals do not entertain a state of equilibrium. This is the picture of incremental social changes. And the next is gender equality, the social and political issues of our time. In this time, what does power feel like? It is. It's difficult to define, isn't it? One thing I know is we have all felt powerless. How has not felt their stomach drop as something they want control over is ripped from their grasp. A sense of powerlessness is demoralizing and disheartening. Being powerless keeps you in your place at the bottom of the piles. Worst of all, in feeds of itself, growing stronger with each knockback. And the next is how power affects girls' lives. In the latest research from Plan International, girls are starting to talk about power and analyze its impact on their lives. In many of the places where Plan International works, and in quite a few that we don't, north and south, girls are made to feel powerless every day, and their daily lives are plagued by poverty, violence, and prejudice. And in many cases, they feel rejected by their family. Read and report unlock the power of girls now. The parents only favor the boy, and they even say that a girl child is a curse. She's Mercy, 16 from Agenda. The image of a daughter as a curse is the stuff of nightmares, but is the lived really is many of many. And this, the next is the progress is too slow. The struggle of gender equality has been going on for countries. Yes, we have made progress, but it is glacially slow. Too much power to at too many levels remains concentrated in male hands. We are also witnessing a worrying trend where girls' and women's rights are under attack from regressive policies and oppressive laws. And the progress, the gender inequality needs to be met with zero tolerance and stamped out. If we are to achieve gender equality, we will need the support of everyone, but especially from those in power. We need our leaders and decisions makers to stand in solidarity with girls and fight with them. And the next is the call of change. Call for change. Call for change. It should make us all angry, and we can all do something about it. We can try much harder to understand the damage that gender inequality causes to boys as well as girls. We can look at our own attitude and lives, and we can demand that government at all levels funds effective public campaigning to promote gender equality. We can protest men when media images promote violence or deni- denigrated women and girls. We can start a social movement for girls' rights that makes a real difference. In the difference, the gender equality of And the what are discriminatory social institutions? Social institutions influence decisions, choices, and behaviors of groups, committees, and individuals. They consist of both informal constraints and formal rules. Constitutions laws, property right, North 1990, and discriminatory social institutions are formal and informal laws, social norms, and practice that restrict women's and girls' rights, assist to improve empowerment, opportunities, and resources. OECD, that is 214. And this is the social institutions of the society. This is the all about the topic, and the end of this topic we see the references. These are the references of this topic, and the last of this topic is MCQs. The MCQs are first of all, first is the MCQs is social problem means a state of affairs, moral approach to problem, personal problem, family problem. The answer of this question is state of affairs. Next is a pattern of behavior that constitutes is called social problem, economic problem, political problem, religious problem. The answer of this question is social problem is the right answer. And the next question, which of the following is characteristics of social problem? It affects on a large section of a society. Always create frustrations. None of the above, all of the above. The right answer of this question is it affects on a large section of a society. Next question is which of the following is not characteristics of social problem? Generally regarded harmful for the society. It has effect on a large section of a society. Develops gradually and slowly, and all of the above. What is the right answer? The right answer of this question is develops gradually and slowly. And the next question is density of population is very much related to climate, political system, environmental study, economic condition. The right answer of this question is climate. Climate is the density of population is very much related to. And the next is which of the following does not very much influence the density of the population? Rainfall, humidity, social fertility, erosion, erosion. The answer of this question is humidity. Humidity is the right answer of this question. And the next is delinquency is a kind of abnormality, normality, illness, all of the above. The answer of this question is abnormality. Abnormality. And the next question is delinquency is a juvenile misconduct that might be dealt with under the law. Friendlander, Krillburn, Ogburn, and Memoria. The right answer is Friedlander is the right answer of this question. And the next question is which is an institution to rehabilitate juvenile delinquents? Juvenile courts, remand home, foster homes, all of the above. The right answer of this question is all of the above. And next and last question is when was the Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act enacted? 2005, 2006, 2007, and 2008. The right answer of this question is 2007 is the right answer of this question. And the end of this topic, this is the all about of this topic, rights for gender equality and the implication for social change. At the end of this topic, thank you